Alright, Shalom. I like to say Kahalayim Wahawadla Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakakadash. Brakatati Akim around the world. Pushing this word in truth and sincerity that belongs to the apostles and elders of GMS who rule well, you understand? Constantly in season, out of season. To go to a few precepts, I'll entitle it Only God could judge me, the prophets are judges. You understand? Because that's a title that people love to use, that only God could judge me. But they don't even understand what I mean, and they don't even understand how judgment does work. To start with, judgment is according to these scriptures. And who were the ones that the Lord set up to execute that judgment? You understand, the Israelites first, but mainly like the leaders, the prophets and so forth. What we used to even live in was a system of judgment. Whereas if somebody did something wrong, it would have people over them to judge the matter and make sure it was executed a particular way. Now in this society, judgment isn't executed like it used to be. You understand? Like if a man or woman commit adultery, you wouldn't execute that judgment by putting them to death. But you're supposed to be able to make judgment in the sense of telling them their errors. And as prophets today, that is what we just do. We just go out and tell the people about their errors and the things that they're doing wrong and that they need to work on it. Right? That by itself is a form of judgment. Even like if you're going in a courtroom. Even like if you're going in a courtroom and two people stand before the judge and the judge hear the matter, what the judges do? The judges judge the matter and say who was right and who was wrong. That is a form of judgment, right? But people will go before a magistrate and the magistrate will tell them that they're wrong and they would not make a song. But when the men of the Lord tell the people that according to the scriptures what they're doing is incorrect, they will say that only God could judge me. But you'll never tell that to a policeman's face. You'll never tell that to a judge's face. But you'll tell that to the men of the Lord. Why? Because our people have no respect for the men of the Lord. And what we telling them is the words of the Lord. So they not only have no respect for the men of the Lord, but they have no respect for the Lord either. You understand? Some of them mightn't see it that way, but that is the reality of it. They have no respect for the Lord. Because the Lord made judgment for us to follow, and our people don't follow it, nor do they want it. I think that is, I believe that is Jeremiah. Oh, it's Isaiah. It's Isaiah 59 verse 1. 58. Right, 58 verse 1, right? Isaiah 58 verse 1. It says, cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Israel their sins. You understand? We have to judge the people and show them that what they're doing is right or what they're doing is wrong. Like you'll see somebody lining up the forehead, you'll tell them according to the scriptures that is wrong. You understand? That's actually making judgment. Correcting somebody about doing something wrong according to the scriptures. But we know our people hate correction. So whenever it is they hear somebody correcting them or telling them the correct thing, the first thing they want to say is only God could judge me. You understand? But this is how the Lord does judge the people. The Lord gave us judgment to follow, that we're supposed to correct others with it. So that is what they doesn't understand. This is the Lord's judgment, because it is written from the Lord if it is right or if it is wrong. But like I say, our people hate correction. Alright? So they Deuteronomy 17 Deuteronomy 1 verse 17, right? It say, ye shall not respect persons in judgment. So it's judgment they're talking about, right? And you're not supposed to respect persons, whereas if somebody rich, they do a special privilege other than somebody that poor. Or if it's somebody close to you, you're not supposed to say, well, they're right, or try to defend them in their wrongs just because of who they are. You're supposed to be neutral in judgment. Right? This is how the Lord did put it up for us to be. Like how you see people nowadays with these women out here, when it is their son killing people on a regular basis, they have nothing to say. But as soon as somebody killed their son, he was a good boy, he was a good boy. You understand? That is actually unlawful what they're doing. You understand? They're showing favoritism in judgment, and you're not supposed to do that. Is that the person right or the person wrong? It doesn't matter who the individual is. Right? But ye shall hear the small as well as the great. It say, ye shall not be afraid of the feast of man, for the judgment is the Most High's. And I say the judgment is the Most High's is why? Because he gave us these scriptures on how to make judgments. And we make judgment according to this. So when it is a man do something wrong and you judge the matter according to the scriptures, it's not the individual speaking judging the matter. It's the Lord judging the matter through him, because he using his scriptures to do so. You understand? Just like with a judge is judging matter based on what? The law of the land. So really and truly is the system that judging here, not the judge. You understand? He just going by the book. It's the same thing like the men of the Lord. This is the Lord's judgment. It's not our judgment. It's not what we feel to tell you, or we feel to give you a particular sentence or a particular class in. Is what the scriptures say. This is the Lord's judgment. Right? It say, for the judgment is the Most High's, and the cause that is too hard for you, bring it unto me, and I will hear it. And that was pertaining to Moses, because he set up men to make judgment among the people. And whenever it is something that happened where it was too difficult for them to make judgment on, because they probably didn't understand the situation or whatever, or it might be something so strange that it mightn't have a particular way of settling it, like what happened with Solomon, with the two women who had the controversy with the child. It didn't really have a law put in place for a situation like that, so he had to use wisdom accordingly. So if it had situations within Israel that men couldn't be able to deal with their level of judgment, they would have sent it higher up to the ones who are a lot more versed in the law, and then eventually that reach up to Moses. Even if it was something that Moses himself couldn't deal with, Moses had a connection with the Lord. The Lord would have told him what to do. So either way, judgment would have been made. Right? But judgment is something that you're supposed to do. Even now, the scriptures talk about judging yourself. They talk about judging each other. But people, like I say, people hate to be judged. Why? Because they hate to be told anything. When they're doing wrong, they don't like anybody to tell them anything about the wrong that they're doing. They just like to do what they want. Right? To say, I'm Ezekiel 2 verse 3. You see, and he said unto me, Son of man, I send thee to the children of Israel, to a rebellious nation, because that is what is the rebellious. They like to do their own thing instead of what they're told to do. To a rebellious nation that had rebelled against me. They and their fathers had transgressed against me, even unto this day. They say, for they are impudent children and stiff-hearted. I do send thee unto them, and thou shalt say unto them, Thus saith the Lord power. Right? So you go on here, you tell them, hey, the Lord said you're supposed to do this, the Lord said you're not supposed to do that. That is making judgments. And they, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, the same as us in these times. When we telling people you're not supposed to do these things, the Lord say this or the Lord say that, we telling them that the ways that they're following is not correct. That is making judgment. But whether they will hear or whether they will forbear, right? For they are a rebellious house, yet shall they know there had been a prophet among them. Because all the things that we also teaching, it is coming to pass, and it will come to pass even more in the future. And that is when they will realize that, hey, what these men... that is when they will realize what these men was saying was actually true. These really are the men of the Lord. You understand? They was telling us all these things will come to pass. And they did. But around that time, that it will be like too late is the cry. Right? No, this isn't Micah. I want Malachi. Malachi 3, I'll start from 16, right? They say, Then they that fear the Lord spake often one to another, and the Lord hearkened and heard it. And a book of remembrance was written before him for them that fear the Lord. And this also show you how important it is to fear the Lord, even though people think you don't have to fear the Lord. You're supposed to fear the Lord, right? Scriptures talk about that in many places. Fear not them that could hurt the body, but rather fear him that could destroy what? Both body and soul in hell. That's referring to the Lord, right? Fear the Lord is say and thoughts upon his name. And I also show that the name of the Lord is important, right? Not just calling him God, but a different topic. It say, and they shall be mine, saith the Lord of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels, and those jewels are what? The elect, right? And I will spare them, as a man spareth his own son that serveth him. And that service goes back to what? Not just getting up, saying your prayers, and then going and do whatever you feel like when the day come. A servant does do what? Service. Work. You understand? Service. That's what a servant does do. Service. They don't just sit down and say, alright, faith, and then do what the hell they feel like. Right? There are plenty of scriptures that support that. It said, then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked. And how are you going to discern between the righteous and the wicked? By making judgments. Because righteousness is an action. And wickedness is also what? An action. So how it is you're going and discern? You're going to read the mind. You're going to read the mind and if the righteous or wicked. By the ways and by the things that they do, you will know. And that is making judgment according to the scriptures. If a man committing adultery against his own neighbor's wife, you could discern that through the scriptures and know that that is wickedness. But that is also a form of what? Judgment. Let us show you the scriptures is about judgment. But people don't like to be judged. Right? They like to do whatever they want, whenever they want. And nobody must not tell them anything about it. That is just how Jacob. You see the 1 Corinthians 6, right? I'll start from 1. It said, dare any of you, having a matter against another, go to law before the unjust and not before the saints? You understand? Because like say for example, you have a brother, you have an issue with a brother. Instead of going before the brother and discussing it with him to fix the issue, or to go before an elder, to seek counsel or whatever, you'll go before unbelievers who knows nothing about the law to just babble in their ears and hear their opinion that not even just, or they could even care about the law. That's a stupid thing to do, right? It said, do you not know that the saints shall judge the world? So the Lord telling you that the saints are judges, and the saints are also what? The scriptures tell you the saints are who? The nation of Israel, primarily the elect in these times, right? Because they are the ones that actually rehearsing the righteous act and doing judgment according to how the Lord say, right? In the kingdom, all of them would be that in some way, but the elect will be like the top guys, right? The real elite guys, right? But they're practicing that judgment even now. That is the things that we're doing, practicing these scriptures and how it is to go about executing them and correcting people with them. All of that is judgment, right? They say, do you not know that the saints shall judge the world? And this is what's going to happen in the kingdom. You say that is in Revelation. It say he shall give you power over the nations. They're going to be judges, they that endure to the end, and the practicing that judgment, like I said, even now. They say, and if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the small matters? So there are scriptures that showing you that you're not supposed to make judgment. The scriptures say you're supposed to make righteous judgment. The scriptures say, judge not lest ye be judged. And that means when it is you're judging a matter and you're telling people about the things that they're doing wrong, you also have to make sure that you not doing the same things, because that goes back into what? Hypocrisy. You can't be wanting to tell a man you're not supposed to be doing this and it's the same exact things that you're doing. That is why as men of the Lord, the things that we preach, we also supposed to practice. Not just go correcting men and you doing the same nonsense that they doing and worse. Right? That way go back to what the beam in your eye, and you're watching you're mutting your brother's eye. Because you worse than he in the same thing, but you're telling him about his wrongs. Right? It says, know ye not that we shall judge angels? Because the prophets of the Lord actually are angels, just in the flesh, right? According to the scriptures. It says, how much more thing that pertain to this life? It says, if then ye have judgments of things pertaining to this life, set them to judge who are least esteemed in the church. And all is showing you going back to what? Making judgment. Because that is how you discern if something is right or wrong. You have to judge a matter. If your child do something wrong, you have to be able to judge the matter to see if your child is right or wrong. So if you're not supposed to judge, if your child do anything wrong, you shouldn't tell them anything. If your wife do anything wrong, you shouldn't tell her anything. Because you're not supposed to judge. Only God could judge. So when you see it, just shut your mouth and let the Lord deal with it. When you say it, when you think about it like that, that song retarded plus 1,000. You understand? But like I say, these are things that people say because they don't want to be told that what they're doing is wrong. They want to do what they want to do. But the scriptures cut people like that. And even if you realize that is somebody's mindset, just leave them alone. Because the scriptures say correction is grievous unto a fool. If you realize a person don't like correction, they're doing the wrong thing and they don't want anybody telling them about the wrong things that they're doing, just leave them alone. As the scriptures say, if a man be ignorant, let him be ignorant still. If a man be righteous, let him be righteous still. Right? It says in 1 Corinthians 2 verse 15, it says, but he that is spiritual judgeth all things. And that he that is spiritual, not talking about the Most High, I'm talking about people who are like the men of the Lord who's spiritually minded. You understand? Like men of the Lord who are actually doing things according to the scriptures and living according to the scriptures, they are referred to as spiritual. They are the ones that make judgment according to the scriptures, according to how the Lord say. You understand? They could judge all things because they do it through the Spirit and through the Lord and through how the Lord say to do it. Right? They say, but he that is spiritual judges all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. Because to start with, a normal man making judgment according to his own ordinance and not according to what the Lord say, he wouldn't be right. It amend us watch we and say we face big full of beard and we do know these kind of things, and they go tell we that we off for doing that, but they're not making judgment according to the scriptures, so they can't judge us. They don't even understand what real judgment is or how to execute it. And secondly, a man who is spiritual, he will be trying to do the right thing constantly. So he will be making sure that you have nothing to say about him. You understand? He will be making sure you have nothing to say about him. At least nothing true. Just like Mashiach. They call Mashiach a devil. They call him all kind of things. But they had nothing they had nothing solid on him. Because he was not just teaching the people and making judgment, but he was also practicing what he was teaching. So he was blameless. You understand? So it had nothing they could have say about him that was actually true. Whatever they were saying was just things that they labeled him as. They call him a devil, Beelzebub, a drunkard. But they're not making judgment according to the scriptures. So they couldn't judge him. At least not actual judgment. They could have labeled him, but they couldn't judge him. Right? I have a next scripture I remember. Yeah, I don't want to make it too long, but just want to get the point across. Judgment is something that you're actually supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be judging yourself, and you're supposed to be judging like your brethren and so forth. If you see your brother going off, you're supposed to be making judgment to tell your brother, hey, that way you're doing is wrong. That's how you look out for each other. If you ain't telling them nothing, you ain't looking out for him. You understand? You ain't looking out for him then. You wanna say, well, only God could judge, so you wanna tell your brother when he doing something wrong. And then when he do stumble now, and you could have warned him to preserve him. Whose fault is that? You're a partaker in that. That is not showing love to your brother. That way the scriptures say, like I say, correct a fool and he shall hate thee. Correct a wise man and he will love thee. If you have a brother who hates to be corrected, he's not in a brotherly mindset. And if you have a brother who don't like to correct you, by all told you off. You understand? Well, if you just correct him, then you in the right track. But if he don't like to be corrected and he don't like to correct you, he off. He not in a spiritual mindset. If everything for he is don't judge me and think, he not in a spiritual mindset, he off. Right? They say 1 Corinthians 11 verse 31, it say, for if we will judge ourselves, saying judge again, we should not be judged. You understand? And I'll go back to what I was saying. If you're judging yourself, you're watching your ways, you're making sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. If you're doing those things and you're making sure you're on point, people can't tell you nothing. Because you're making sure that have nothing about you that they could say that is wrong. They could have their own opinions, they could lie, but they will have nothing on you. They say, but when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord. You understand? Because we has error from day to day on a normal basis. But we just be chastened faith from the Lord, right? That we should not be condemned with the world. Because when that time of destruction come, you understand, those that was actually staying in that mindset, doing what they're supposed to do, keeping themselves in order and so forth, and suffering the afflictions now, when that time come, they would not have to go through what the other people who just doing what they want and don't want nobody to judge them, they wouldn't go through the same thing as those people. You understand? And that's why the men of the Lord just go through these things now and try to do what they're supposed to do and be servants. Serve. Do what the Lord says. Right? One more scripture. Proverbs 31 verse 9. It says, open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. So I don't have any scriptures that tell people that they're not supposed to judge. You're supposed to make righteous judgment. But you are supposed to make judgment. That is what the scriptures are for. The scriptures are for me executing judgment, to know rights from wrongs and how to go about it. You understand? But you had to understand the scriptures and you had to apply wisdom. It has certain levels to things. It has certain ordinances to things. You can't be a woman and you want to go around telling men you wrong, you wrong, you wrong, you wrong. That is not your ordinance. You understand? That is not your ordinance. Even though the individual might be wrong, that is not your level of ordinance. To have judges put in place for these things. Now you could see a man erring and you go and alert an elder and he deal with it, but it is not your place to go around dealing with things like that. With judgment comes understanding, and you have to have understanding when making judgment. And that is the next complicated thing about judgment. Some people just want to make judgment before they gain understanding. Sometimes you have to know how to go about things, when to do things, and all these things come with being a good judge, right? And you just have to understand your level. You just have to understand your level and how to do stuff. Anyway, I hope it was edifying. With that, I say shalom.